It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
Hey everybody, it's Tyrone Jackson and welcome back to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. So happy to have you here. Let's get right to it. Okay, now we're still in a market where tariffs are kind of hanging over the U.S. stock market and preventing certain stocks from moving forward, while others seem to be, doing well regardless of tariffs or not. Why is this so important? Because a tariff is basically a tax on imports into the United States, and most retailers are not going to simply absorb that cost, right? They're going to pass it on to you and I. Now, what has happened in the last 13 weeks is, we had a trade court who said to the Trump administration, hey, you don't even have the authority to raise prices on tariffs. Everything you've done to this point is actually illegal. Now, what I find so interesting, an appellate court above the U.S. Trade Court said, no, we're not so sure about that because the Trump administration appealed the trade court's decision. Is this crazy? We are in crazy times. So now we're waiting to see what the appellate court says with regard to, does the administration have the right to create what is called reciprocal tariffs? Now, a lot of people who are interested in trading and investing in the stock market just want to know if their favorite stock is going to go up, go down. That's not the most sophisticated outlook when it comes to managing your money as a self-directed investor, because your job, especially those of you who've been following me for 5 years or more now, you know where the real payoff is in the stock market. It's having a longer-term view. As I've been saying on a lot of my group coaching calls, hey, listen, there'll be life after Trump for all of us. And that's what you and I must not lose sight of. Buying stocks in today's market that we believe, from an earnings point of view, tariffs on or tariffs off, we believe these stocks will be up 100% or more. And it just so happened that I brought some of my favorite stocks into the studio, and I want to share this idea with you, okay? But before we actually do that, I want to talk to you about your millionaire mindset. Do you really have the belief system to make yourself a millionaire in today's stock market? Well, I think if you're listening to this show on a regular basis, clearly the answer is yes. And the reaction that I get from people when I actually leave the studio and go out into the real world is pretty phenomenal. Yes, I do leave the studio from time to time. Okay, and people say wonderful things like, thank you for what you've done in my life and my family and my kids listen to your show. And whenever you don't make an episode, we think, where the heck is Tyrone? Well, I thank you. And who would ever believe that a podcast would be heard around the world and affect so many lives? Well, I'm happy to be that person who's in this position, but I want to talk to you, before we talk about stocks that are going higher, about your money beliefs. You see, everything you believe to be true is going to affect and is affecting your income right now. If investing is always about the future price of something, are you one of those people that are in the habit of thinking about your future? Because when you start thinking about your future, whether it be college for your kids, retirement for yourself, or living a grand lifestyle, everything you want out of the future that is positive is achievable. Everything that you wonder about in your life, including having a boat, multiple homes, great vacations, people come in and cook for you, trainers, that can all be real if you take the stock market seriously. Now, how does this belief match up with choosing what I call superior stocks? Okay, well, it's all based on what you believe to be true. So, for example, I had a friend of mine when he was growing up. I said, how did you wind up a lawyer? His parents were lawyers, and they said, hey, when you grow up, You can be any kind of lawyer that you want. And that was something that he heard from age 7 on into his adulthood. You see, his parents were programming him and teaching him about law and how you could make a good living and maybe even build wealth through law since he was a child. So they created the illusion of choice. If somebody said to you, you can be any kind of lawyer that you want, your brain hears that of, oh my, there's so much to choose from, right? Right. But imagine if someone said to you, you can be any kind of millionaire that you want, just choose the right stocks. And that was something you heard over and over again since you were 7. What do you think you would actually be doing at this point? Well, rather than just discovering me, you'd be living a life that played out that belief system if it were impressed upon you in big and small ways. And that millionaire mindset, what I have discovered in the 25 years that I've been trading and teaching, is that people are very open to this millionaire thing. You just have to show them how to do it. And that's the beauty of the world that we live in. Any idea that you want to embrace for the forward progress of your life, you can change and accept new ideas just like that. You just need to be able to go to a place where those ideas are enforced. Well, I have plenty of students in the Wealthy Investor Program who are now millionaires and working on being multimillionaires because they've embraced this approach to the stock market. Now, if you live in certain cities, like I was born and raised in New York City, we're very susceptible to negativity and we are very aware of scam artists. So even though I've been teaching covered calls and volatility trading and dividend collections, there's always a group of people who are hesitant, who are negative about the future, who are a little bit on the hopeless side, who say, that can't be true. Well, why do they say that can't be true? You mean no one who has an online trading account can focus on buying dividend-paying stocks? Well, yeah, you could do that, but you're not going to get paid consistently. Why? Because that's just not how things work. Oh, because you've been taught how to trade time for dollars. You see, America is a very interesting place because there are 10,000 realities all at the same time. In other words, there are people, if you think about this with me, there are people who believe that the only way to make money is to have a job and earn a paycheck. But then there are people who build online businesses and Etsy stores and, yes, still eBay, and they make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month selling merchandise direct to the consumer. So they're playing out their beliefs. And then there are people on Wall Street who go, well, if I'm not making $600,000 a month in trading profits, like I'm a failure. Okay? So can all three of those groups live out their beliefs? Yes. In fact, you and I are living out our beliefs every single day as it relates to money, and it's all based on what we were taught. And then we choose our friends around us who have the same beliefs, and we wonder why everybody in your circle is only earning $50,000, $100,000, maybe $200,000. Well, there really is a better way if you want to upgrade and or change your life is to change your beliefs. And when your beliefs change, the amount of money that you can earn also will change, and that will be your brand new way of life. Your thoughts are very, 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 very powerful because they're writing your future right now. Now, when we talk about the stock market, the only thing that you actually don't know is how to make $60,000 a month because, well, perhaps where you grew up, there was no one around to teach you. Enter me, as they say in the Broadway show, Hamilton. I am here to free you from your old beliefs to open up new beliefs. Now, the universe is a real funny place because when you start thinking bigger and better things for yourself, you attract bigger and better things into your life because your thoughts are energy. And the energy that you think literally goes out into the world or out into the universe, and what you think about most, then comes back to you. And anybody who's ever studied the law of attraction knows exactly what I mean. Now, the universe can be substituted for a lot of other things. It can be substituted for Buddha, God, or even Red Fox. Forget that. Buddha or God, let's say that. Whatever it is your higher power is that you believe in, it really starts with your thoughts. And as I talk to you, if you believe that Buddha or God really wants you to be rich, which they do, then mastering money is only one part of the human journey and the human experience. This thing called life is very interesting, and it is exactly what we make it based on our beliefs. Now, if you've been listening to this show for a number of years, you know that I was raised by a single mother and we had very, very, very little. And in part, that was due because of my mother's belief system and her background. When I got to a certain point in life, and this took a lot of work, I suddenly realized that my mother's belief system doesn't have to be mine, and I always wanted to be a millionaire and multimillionaire. Back then, that was like a big deal. Today, what do I have? I have a life and a lifestyle that reflects my true desires and reflects my belief systems. And financially and entrepreneurially, as my belief systems expand, I get a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger life. So when I discovered Malibu, which is one of the places that I live right now, I thought, man, I sure would love to live in this community for two major reasons. I love the water, I love the beach, and I love, number two, to be around people who understand millions of dollars and the manifestation of millions of dollars, because it would be their what? Their second nature. And I want to absorb those thoughts. So even as I'm shopping in the grocery store in Malibu, I'm shopping with people who have beliefs about manifestation of $5 million, $10 million, $30 million. I see them in the supermarket and I see their beautiful cars and I realize I fit right in. I am with my tribe. So what a lot of people do is they begin playing with the idea of new thoughts, which is going to be new financial realities for you, but they stay with the same old crowd. And that same old crowd hinders you from moving forward. It is your job, it is your responsibility to move yourself forward in life if that's what you truly desire. And I want to say one other thing about the power of your desires, your true desires, not your practical needs to pay for gas and have clothes and eat. As we get older, we forget how to dream. As we get older, we forget how to dream. Why? Because the world at large and its belief system beats us up, says, no, that can't be true. And where do we get the most negativity in our life? From your local news. Because your local news broadcast makes most of its money from negativity. Have you ever noticed that? When the news opens up in your local town, they never tell you anything good first, right? They tell you about a car crash or a bus that went off the road with kids from school. Tragedy, tragedy, tragedy. Negativity, negativity, negativity. And this negativity seeps into your mind and draws you to it. And if you don't believe that that is true, try to go 2 weeks without watching your local news. And guess what? You'll feel better. You'll certainly feel different. Okay? So if you and I are engaged in the process of developing a millionaire mindset, so great things can happen for us financially, there are some things that we have to let go, like our consumption of local and national news. For most people, it's too much negativity to handle in a 24-hour period. But they got us covered online, because whenever you log in online, they've got all kind of negative stories that you'll see on your favorite website first, because the news business has discovered something really important. Negativity sells. People love negativity and they love to consume it. The downside of that is it affects your perceptions about money and the good things in life and what is possible. So if you and I are willing to think new thoughts, embrace another idea so that you, your children, your family can get to the point where you're earning $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month just from trading stocks on the side, now you'd be changing your life and the life of other people around you. So as we move forward into stocks that I think are going to go up 100% in the next 5 years, that could make you a millionaire if you learn how to own the stocks and trade them at the same time. Let's practice during our time together being positive. Back in a moment.
Want to increase your stock market trading profits? Then you need to start your monthly membership to WITradeschool.com right now. Don't understand how to write covered calls for monthly income? No problem. Simply review Tyrone's latest stock trades in our video library as many times as you need. WITradeschool.com is all about helping you get the financial education you need to earn money in the stock market and change your financial life. Tyrone Jackson, the wealthy investor, has helped his students earn thousands of dollars per month trading stocks online from home. These are people just like you. So what are you waiting for? Follow Tyrone Jackson's red-hot stock trades and investment strategies today. Don't wait. Start your monthly membership at WITradeschool.com right now.
Okay, here we are. Let's get into the stock market and the future. Regardless of what might be going on now, there are certain stocks that I see that are going to rise in the future. Now, I can't go through all of them because I would say all in all, there's about 70 stocks that I really like. But I want to give you stocks that are members of the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P 500 that I like. You can research them, or you can join me at WI Trade School, and each week I break down these stocks, why they're moving, how to trade them, etc., etc. Now, for those of you who are actually following, you know that each one of these companies I'm going to talk about are great covered call writers, right? They're a great way to bring in that income on the 10-day, the 15-day, or even the 30-day covered calls. And they're also pretty good in your retirement account. Now, I'm not necessarily recommending you go out and buy all of them, but a lot of people say, well, God, Tyrone, that's such a great stock. I don't want to just keep buying and selling it and buying and selling it over again. Can I hold on to shares? Right. And that's why at some point in your financial education, the Wealthy Investor Program, I say to you, hey, you need to have a hold account. Right? That main account that you're trading in is generating your income, but you need an account that we call a 5-year hold. It costs you nothing to open up that account on TD Ameritrade or Charles Schwab. It's just a stock where you're going to hold stocks that are outperformers and are members of the Dow and the S&P 500. Remember, you don't qualify to be part of that index unless you are what we call in the Wealthy Investor Program a great date. Right? So we don't marry stocks, we just date them. And when do we break up with them? When their quarterly or annual revenues decline. It's really simple, but you got to remember there's an entire industry out there that doesn't want you to know how to follow this methodology. So bad for them, good for you to become more of an educated trader investor. Okay, let's jump right in with my number one pick in no particular order. It's just so that I can explain the story to you. Okay, Microsoft. Do you remember Microsoft, ticker symbol MSFT? Do you remember 5 years ago when Microsoft was at $180 a share? And they adapted and moved beyond just being a software company. Now they have a cloud business, and they're always developing software products that we all license now on a monthly basis that generate revenue for us, right? So Microsoft was at $180 5 years ago. So if you bought 1,000 shares of Microsoft, your $180 is, as of today's recording, worth $478 per share. Now that's just in the last 5 years. What has the stock done over the last decade? Well, if you knew those numbers, you'd be a multi-millionaire just because you held the shares when Bill Gates was still running the company. He's not running the company today, but the shares have gone up over 100%. Now imagine if you were cover call writing on the shares at 180 in one account and simply holding the shares in another, you'd get the trading income plus the dividends and the benefit of holding the shares long term in your hold account. This is just one example. And of course, Microsoft is a member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, one of the other stocks, when I think about the long term, that I like, you don't have to like them, I'm just sharing this, is Costco. Now, Costco's a member of the S&P 500. Somewhere in the next 5 years, you and I are going to get hungry and thirsty. I am sure of it. And we're going to look for a place that gives us a great value on our groceries as tariffs increase and prices go up. And that's what is happening at Costco. 5 years ago, if you had bought those shares at $276 and just waited, today those shares are trading at $1,000. Wow. $276, did the shares double? Did the shares go up 3 times their value? Do the shares have a great probability of going up in the next 5 years 100% again? Yes, because on Wall Street there are certain patterns. High likelihood within the next 5 years, these shares are probably going to split. And you know, I've talked about stock splits on this show for a long time. It'll probably not be a 2-for-1, but a 10-for-1 to bring the share price down, and Wall Street will jump all over it. Because if you can't afford your shares at $1,000, imagine if they were $100. I predict also that Costco will then have a share buyback before the stock actually split to reduce the float size, to reduce the amount of shares in the public domain. And we know share buybacks frequently precede a stock split, and that's how wealth is made. So, again, you can go online to Yahoo Finance, for example, and research these stocks for free. Just look at the 5-year chart. It will tell you or suggest a very interesting story. And then there are certain stocks that have risen, but, you know, they're a little high risk. So what's going on now on Wall Street? We're having an awful lot of talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and its implication in our lives. Right now, stock that is very high, NVIDIA, because they're helping the biggest companies in the world develop AI platforms, not just one, but hundreds of AI platforms where bots are producing content, synthesizing information, aggregating information for us as the consumer, charging us money for products and services, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What is the extent of this new AI technology? Well, we really don't know for sure, but we're starting to get a glimpse with things like ChatGPT, right? Okay. Well, we know since the largest companies in the world are expanding their platform on the NVIDIA platform, do you know what these shares were trading at just 5 years ago? Now, this is on a split-adjusted basis because the shares have split several times. So just keep that in mind. This wasn't the actual price, but if we take into account the split itself, you could have gotten your shares for $6. And what are they trading at the time of this recording? $145. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience. My name is Tyrone Jackson from thewealthyinvestor.net, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so even if we just look at these 3 stocks, not as recommendations, but as case studies, you see a trend. Microsoft is in technology. NVIDIA is in AI. Costco is in wholesale, and less than 7% of everything that they farm out in their supply chain comes from overseas. So most of what Costco is supplying us are products, goods, and services that are manufactured or made here in the United States. Are they subject to tariffs? Probably not. Okay? So we're going to see more moves like this, outsourcing products and services from the United States to adjust to the environment that we're in right now, which is very tariff heavy. CEOs of publicly traded companies are by and large pretty smart people. And if they're not that smart, they tend to surround themselves with people who are very smart, like the board of directors, advisory boards, marketing firms, et cetera, et cetera. Companies that, well, are fairly astute at understanding the consumers and their buying habits. All of these ideas make up the story of the stock, But you and I, once we understand the story, we have to understand the revenue, dividend distribution, and some of the technical things that go alongside with share ownership that allow us to be successful. So I'll leave you with the idea. If Microsoft was $180 a share 5 years ago, and right now it's at $478, you could have owned the shares and a Delta 50 Leaps option all at the same time. Now think about that, because when we have stocks that are winning and winning big, we could also own options on those shares, which move 2-3 times faster than just the stock itself. So there's a lot of ideas here that are built on the idea of wealth creation that you and I can use once we have the right financial education. Think about your millionaire mind. If you're listening and you're already a millionaire and you have, stocks and assets and real estate, think about being worth maybe $5 million in the next 5 years. You can always go bigger and better to improve not only your life, but the people around you, your kids, your grandkids, nieces, and nephews. How do we help people with this financial education that you and I share? There are a variety of ways, and we'll cover that on another episode of Trading Stocks Made Easy. Hey, there are a lot of good things happening in your life right now. You should write them down and celebrate them, because that'll help you see the brighter side of life on a regular basis, not your local news. Hey, join me at any time at thewealthyinvestor.net, or you can easily start your membership at WI Trade School and get to know some of these trades and the ideas that I've espoused on this show. It will change your life. So if you're ready to change your life in the next 2 to 5 years, guess what? I'm your guy. Have a great week ahead, everybody. Think positive thoughts and you'll have positive results in your life. I'm Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor, saying thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. While you're on iTunes, be sure to click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive our next episode.